about to pour libation to the ancestors. And this is simply a practice of paying homage to, embodying gratitude for the spirits that have made their transition. Just as every Sunday we come here, we know, we affirm, we acknowledge that there is only oneness. Just as we, every Sunday, we know and affirm that spirit always is. Spirit never cannot be. There is no separation. Indigenous people, the original people, have always known this truth. We have always known that there is no separation. And one of the ways that has always been expressed is in honoring, acknowledging, affirming, uplifting the ancestors. Knowing that just because we have crossed the veil does not mean that our spirit still does not exist. And so, in knowing that, we can still rely upon, connect with, and be inspired by this energy. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm pouring libation. May this cool, clear water be a symbol of our peaceful path. May this cool, clear water be a symbol and an affirmation for our cool, peaceful, abundant homes. May this cool, fresh water be an opening for clarity, an opening for life, an opening for knowing. I embody great gratitude for the oneness, for Olodumare, for God, for Spirit, for the Creator, the one that is nameless. I embody great gratitude, and I give thanks. I embody great gratitude, and I give thanks to the Spirit as it shows up throughout the universe, in all its manifestations, in all its knowing, through all the four corners of the universe, as the Orisha, as the deity, as light, as love, as harmony, as grace, as peace, as nature. Spirit in all its incarnations, as power, as power, as power, as knowing, as beingness. I embody great gratitude. I embody great homage. I give great homage. I embody thanksgiving for that. I embody thanksgiving for all of our spiritual teachers and mentors for being authentic in their knowing, being authentic in their clarity, being authentic in their beingness, and inspiring those of us who have been able to learn from, grow from, and expand as a result of their inspiration. I give thanks, I give praise, I pay homage to that. I give thanks and praise to all my ancestors of life and progress who have gone before me, upon whose shoulders I stand. I give thanks and praise to the ancestors who made their transition on this soil. I give thanks and praise and honor to my ancestors who made their transition during the Middle Passage, who made their transition during the Mayapa, who made their transition on African soil. I give thanks and praise to all the ancestors of light and progress, of those of us who are gathered here collectively. And with that, I say, Mojuba Bobo Ekuntewa. I give thanks to all of our collective ancestors. Mojuba Bobo Ekuntewa. I give thanks and praise and honor to all of our collective ancestors. Mojuba Bobo Ekuntewa. At this time, I invite you to say the names of your ancestors, your family members that have made their transition. At this time, when I say Mojuba, I'm giving thanks for and paying homage to. You can call out their names. And if you would do it 3 times, and then go on to the next name. I invite you at this time. Mojuba. 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 Thank you. We stand with our ancestors. We acknowledge, we honor, we affirm them. We ask that they walk with us as we release that which is not the truth. As we affirm and stand in the truth, the beauty, the light, the abundance, the power, the knowing, the clarity that is Spirit showing up in us, as us, and through us. We invite our ancestors. We ask that they walk with us on this path, in this knowing, and lead, guide, and inspire us as only they can do. We also affirm and know and give thanks to all the things that they have expressed for us. All the knowing, that the messages, the understandings. We give thanks and praise. We give thanks and praise for their journey that they have walked, and we ask that they continue to bless us in that way. And Funwa, you ready? Funwa, Iwa brother. Funwa, abundance and light and peace. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
In the voice
Ah, shh. Oh, thank you, Oshunfemi. Thank you, Daphne, for that great libation. Thank you, our guest drummers, Bandan Koro, for that opening. Hi, good morning. Buenos dias. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. I'm Alexis Yancey Jami. Nope, Alexis Yancey. Assalamu alaikum, what can I say? I am honored to be the head of the practitioner corps here at the Center for Spiritual Living, and I welcome you today to our celebration of Kwanzaa. This is the 5th day of Kwanzaa, which is Nia, which stands for purpose. And we are going to help you experience Kwanzaa today. And so I invite all that is here for you today to resonate with you and take it with you when you go. And this is the time of the service where we would like to greet anyone who is here for the very first time. If you are here for the first time, please raise your hands. Our greeters have a gift for you.
Hi, I'm Petra Weldis, Senior Minister of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, and we're delighted that you found us here on the web. You can find our Sunday services on our website by every Wednesday. And we love that you can look at us online and explore these spiritual teachings. Feel free to explore our archives. It goes back a number of years with lots of special topics and amazing speakers. You can also sign up for our email news, My Daily Words, and my blog, Spiritual Living with Dr. Petra. If you're looking for a spiritual community, come visit us. Or if you're just in Dallas, drop on by. We'd love to give you a hug. Welcome home.
Everybody to the announcements, I just want to share something with you real quick. Now, Kwanzaa is is celebrated for 7 days, and at the end of that 7 days, it's culminating on the new year, which is a time to reflect on our past, project our ideals and visions for ourselves into the future, and to ask ourselves those profound questions of life, like who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? See, these are the same questions I find the most in my life in Mr. Growing, but with self-determination I am knowing, not only thinking my third eye keeps blinking. Sometimes I focus and have lotus as I contemplate my life's living. I've learned to deeply probe myself, so I can first meet and know the self and soak the rays of light, seeking to grow myself. So who am I is the question I first proposed, and if you read between the lines of my prose, my intent is that it shows that I am, yes, we are, metaphorically and metaphysically, a rose. Yes, a rose. But we are not just that typical ordinary rose. No. We are more similar to that atypical, extraordinary rose that patiently grows up through those typical little spaces and holes way down deep within the physical third-dimensional cracks of concrete. And as we all continue to evolve through this dance we call life, at our core, we are simply a magnificently orchestrated symphony of pure dancing light. Now, time for announcements.
three speakers. Me, iFalola, and Alexis. And two is iFalola. iFalola. These names. Okay. Whatever happened to Bob and Mary and Anne? Well, one special thing about CSL is that you get a chance to learn when you come here. And we're a place where we learn and experience all kinds of cultures, all kinds of religions, all kinds of faith. And today you get a chance to learn about Kwanzaa. So just like in the past, we've learned about why we have green Christmas trees and why we have lights on trees, why we celebrate Hanukkah and why we celebrate Christmas. Today it's going to be about Kwanzaa. So you've already gotten a chance to see one of the first things, and that is the pouring of the libations. Usually in African cultures, one of the first things that you'll see is the pouring of libations and honoring the ancestors. The second thing that you always will see is a reference for our elders as well as our ancestors. So before you speak, we always ask permission to speak. So our senior minister in the audience today is Reverend Sharon. So Reverend Sharon, do I have your permission to speak?
You have my permission.
Thank you, Sharon. In addition to Reverend Sharon, I have my own personal elder who happens to be here. So Mom. See, she wasn't really paying attention, so I got So Mother, would you stand and can I have your permission to speak, please?
Yes, you may.
I think she will be paying attention from now on, okay? A couple other things that you need to know, that most of what you'll hear will be in Swahili. And Swahili is a Pan-African language, which means that it's spoken in most African countries. So when you hear Kwanzaa, that's a Swahili word. When we say Habarigani, that's Swahili. And Habarigani is one of the greetings that you'll hear at Kwanzaa time. And the answer to Habarigani is whatever that day's principle is. So I'm just getting you guys ready for later on so that you'll know. When you hear Habarigani, today's principle will be Nia. So when I say Habarigani, you say Nia. Okay. The other good one to know is Harambe. Harambe means that let us pull together. So let us work together. And you're going to get a chance to know this one too, but I want to make sure that you're prepared. So everybody, stand on your feet. I'm going to show you how we do Harambe. Okay? We're only going to do it one time so you get it, okay? But so simply do, you put your right arm high in the air, and we're going to make a fist and pull it down and say, Harambe. Harambe. Okay, do it again. Harambe. Oh, you guys got it. That's piece of that. Kwanzaa is a synthesis of cultures. It's a synthesis of African American culture and African cultures. If you happen to be around in the 1960s, and many of you weren't, but I was a child of the 60s. And in the 60s, African Americans had a desire for more enrichment, to know themselves more. And Malana Karinga came up with the holiday of Kwanzaa. And that's why we celebrate Kwanzaa. It comes from different African origins as well as African American origins. So from the African side, what you would hear is that there's known in most African countries first fruit celebrations. So it's like celebrating the harvest and celebrating the good that's happened all year. And that's celebrated in most countries. And there's about 5 different values that go along with that I want to make sure that you guys know about. One is that it's a time for ingathering. So it's an ingathering of the crops as well as an ingathering of all the people, all the products of the nation. So we all come together to celebrate. It's also a time for reverence, a time when we honor the Creator as well as the creation. So during Kwanzaa time, you'll see a lot spoken about how much we appreciate those things that we have that come from the Creator and all those creations. It's also a time for commemoration, and it's a commemoration of the past as well as our ancestors. Some folks think that there's something maybe wrong with ancestor worship, but I'd like for you to think of it in terms of keeping track of your ancestors, because that's a lineage, that's a connection to your past, and we pay homage to those. Sort of like saints in Catholicism, somebody who did some good deeds that you look up to in the past. And then it's a time for recommitment to cultural ideals. And that's why you see these gorgeous robes. And then finally, my favorite value is that it's a time for celebration of all the good that's in the world. So from those first fruit celebrations, they take all those values in consideration. From the African American side, well, if you go back to the 60s, we weren't quite where we are today, but we needed some ways to celebrate culture. So what you'll see from the African Americans, that is a time to restore that culture. So you'll hear more African names, you'll see more African garb, you'll hear more African music, those kind of cultural things. And then finally, from the African American side, it's a time for improvement and enrichment. And you'll hear later the Ensemble, which are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, which gives us a chance to focus on those things that help us be better individuals as well as improve our community. Kwanzaa is a non-heroic holiday, okay? So it's not like we're celebrating some hero up here. It's a communal holiday. It's a time for family, a time for community, and it's a time for culture. And the most important thing I want to make sure that you get is that Kwanzaa is a choice. It's not a substitute. Remember, it's a cultural celebration, so it's not a substitute for your religious holidays, whether that be Kwanzaa or Christmas. And what you'll find out is that most folks celebrate Christmas as well as Kwanzaa and any other thing that they can celebrate. It's specifically between the 26th and January 1st to get out of some of the commercialism that goes along with Christmas and some of the other holidays. And this gives us a time to focus just on that. So what I want to make sure that you guys understand is, one, it's a choice, not a substitute. So it's an alternative kind of celebration. It has African American roots as well as African roots. It's a time when we celebrate with children and when we honor our ancestors as well as honor our elders. Now, Kwanzaa is celebrated sometimes in individuals' homes and sometimes publicly. This is public in case you were wondering. But you would have home. You would have your Kwanzaa set up and you probably have prayers and libations, have the children come around, and each evening focus the conversation and discussion on that particular principle. Okay? Now, I want to make sure that you guys know all about the principles and all about the symbols, but I'm not the best person to tell you that. We have somebody here who can tell you that, who's much better at that, and that's iFalola. So you guys give a big harambe! Harambe!
Celebrate, celebrate Kwanzaa, celebrate, celebrate Kwanzaa. Ujula lia ukima, ujula lia kuunga imani. Celebrate, celebrate Kwanzaa, celebrate, celebrate Kwanzaa. Umoja, ujula lia ukima, ujula lia kuunga imani. Habaragani? Nia! That's what I'm talking about. Habaragani? Nia! Thank you so much for allowing me to come here today. I kind of stole that song from some children who usually are the ones who put together the Kwanzaa table, who give you the explanations of what they mean, because this is a time for us to also show the fruits of the labor through the children. Show the fruits of the labor through the children. The 2012 theme, there's a theme every single year that Malana Karenga comes up with. The theme this year is Kwanzaa, us and the well-being of the world and courageous questioning. And I thought that was interesting because a lot of things have transpired through these last couple months of the year, or the last 6 months of this year. And that requires us to do some questioning. And sometimes it's courageous to question. Most of the time, we would like to sit down and sit back and just watch it happen. But in order to understand what's going on, you have to do those questions. You have to ask those questions in order to start to make sense of it all. Make sense of it all. So I'm going to give you guys the symbols of Kwanzaa. The first thing we have is our mat, Mkeka. The mat is our foundation. It's for which we place everything upon. I like to liken this foundation to the foundations class that I took here. I learned my prayers in that class. I learned where I stood in that class. I understand, excuse me, I understand all of our symbols here at CSL, and I feel that that's my foundation, and it must be solid. Our home structure must be solid. Our placemat must be solid. Our foundation must be solid. The next thing we're going to put down is our Kanara. Kanara stands for our African roots. And inside of the Kanara, you have the Mashuba Saba, which are the 7 candles, which are the red, the black, and the green. Black for the people, red for the struggle, and green for the progress in the land. The next we have is our crops. It's the first fruit. You know, our seasons are kind of flipped. between our eastern and western. So this is the time when our crops come in, to just be thankful for the abundance that we have. We also have our muhandi, which is our dried corn. Now, the dried corn is to symbolize the children that you have in your household, okay? But if you don't have children in your household, you need to at least have one ear of corn to symbolize abundance and prosperity. The next thing we have is the Kukombi Chow Moja. That's what Sister Daphne Edwards-Osunlade poured libation with. Now, if you're at home, you would also use the Kukombi Chow Moja, Umoja, unity, for everyone in your house to sip from. You sip the libation from their cup, and you also pour the libation to the ancestors from their cup as well. The next thing you have is the Zawadi, which are the gifts. Gifts are typically handmade or books. Hint, hint, parents. This is not, oh, I thought you would like this. Oh, this cost me. No, it's not about that. It's for promises made by your children and promises kept. One more time. Promises made and promises kept. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, my mama. But if you can't keep it, you can't get it. It's not random gift giving. It's not random gift giving. Moving on. So I think we have our whole Kwanzaa set up here. It's a beautiful table. The only thing we're missing from the picture is our zawadi. Remember, handmade gifts or gifts of appreciation for promises made and promises kept. Now we're going into our Nguzu Saba, which is the principles that go along with the 7 candles, the Meshuba Saba. And as Michael said, we have 7 days, 7 candles, 7 principles. And Kwanzaa used to be spelled K-W-A-N-A, but it was also added another A because, as we all probably know here, 7 is a divine number of completion. So our first candle is lit for unity, to strive for and maintain unity in our homes, in our churches, and in our schools. The next principle is Kuju Shagalia. Kuju Shagalia, she's gonna light this red candle to the left. And it's gonna alternate back and forth from red to green, from red to green, because through work, there's progress. From struggle, there's progress, there's abundance. Sometimes it's a little more struggle than the progress, but you have to acknowledge the progress, you have to acknowledge the abundance as well. Our third symbol is Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. Collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together, to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together, just like we do with Gooch Elementary. Every single November and December, we make their problems our problems, and we solve them together. We put our baskets up here. We put our donations up here. We put our stitches team to work so that we are able to help them solve their problems when we can't do it for ourselves. Our next principle is Ujima, which is cooperative economics. Cooperative economics is almost the same as Ujima, but basically to build and maintain our stores. For our money can circulate through our community before it goes out to somebody else's community. Let me see the same dollar that you saw. Let your $5 multiply into another $10, and let it go through us before it goes out to someone else. And I put some different Adinkra symbols, West African Adinkra symbols, to kind of go with the different principles as well. Our next principle, which is Nia, which is today we're on. Nia is purpose. Nia means to take and to make our collective vocation, the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their original greatness. Now she's leading off because we don't like past the day. We don't like past the day, and we're just gonna leave those two because our next one is Kuumba, which is creativity, to do always as much as you can in the way you can. to leave the community more beautiful than you inherited it. And then our last one is faith. Faith to believe with all your heart in your community, in your family, in your church, in this center, in your teachers, and our leaders in the righteousness and the victory for what we have here that is being made manifest at this very moment in time. And Kwanzaa, like we said before, is a celebration of family, community, and culture. Everybody get up for me. Let's do 7 Harambe's real quick. Let's do 7 Harambe's. Now we're going to do these 7 Harambe's. We're going to pull it down, but then on number 7, we're going to pull it down like this. Okay? Y'all ready? Harambe! 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 Harambe!
Thank you, iFalola and Jackie, for the presentation of our Kwanzaa table, and thank you, Michael, for your excellent history on this holiday. Now, I didn't celebrate Kwanzaa when I was growing up, probably because of the year that it was created. Well, when it was created, 1966, so a little bit older than the holiday, just a little bit. But Kwanzaa is such a beautiful example of the creativity, of the impulsion that we have from spirit to create. Just as all of the other holidays that we've celebrated this month have come from impulsion to create and to celebrate. Hanukkah and the solstice and Christmas. We have this urge to create. Everyone has this within them. Our book this month is this thing called You, and it's all about, Ernest Holmes is writing about how powerful we are, what our needs are, and what our desires are, and how we cannot help but create. Because we know in Science of Mind that thoughts are things. And so we are creating in every moment. Every time that we have a thought, we're creating. We're co-creating with spirit. And this whole from Thanksgiving to the end of this month, it's such a time to acknowledge all that we have been given and all that we have been blessed with to be. Because our purpose is to be and express our highest selves. And all of that comes with the creativity that's involved in these holidays. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. So there's nothing that you can do but listen. Listen to those impulsions within you, those impulses that give you your next ideas, that tell you what to do each and every day, in each and every moment. As I said, I wasn't celebrating Kwanzaa when I was a child, but when I learned about the holiday, it was exciting to me because I grew up in the Lutheran church. I didn't go to a black church. I didn't go to public schools where most of the kids in my neighborhood went to school. So I had a much more integrated life. And so, but the meaning, as I grew up and I learned about Black history and I learned about, I experienced the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Power movement, I was in deep. I was really in deep. I had the big fro, I had my African clothes, and I was really getting into being African, to celebrate my African roots. And you all know this too. You know, those of you who are, we know Petra is German and she's very proud of her German heritage, and other of you have Italian heritage, you have Spanish heritage, Mexican heritage, Native American heritage, Asian heritage. So we all have these cultures that we are so proud of. And when we connect to them, these are what these rituals help us do. They help us connect to our roots. And what the blessing in it is that it's all God. I mean, we are all part of the oneness, but we're all individual expressions as ourselves, as our people, as our community, as, you know, as our gender. We're all individuals, and so we express differently, but we're all a part of that oneness that is God. And everybody has the desire, Ernest Holmes says in this thing called You, we have this desire to be loved, we have this desire to be needed, we have this desire to be in community. And so this is why we come to this place. We come to this place because we want to be in community. We want to be in community with people who think like us, who believe like us. And so we can see these principles of Kwanzaa in Science of Mind. What principles do you see that were explained to you today that you see in Science of Mind? This is the interactive part, so. Who can call out some of the things that you see that are science minded? I'm sorry.
Process.
Yeah. Yes, the creative process. Unity. Faith.
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Purpose.
Purpose.
Determination.
Abundance. And what was the last one? Self-determination. Yeah, we have all determined that this is where we want to be on Sunday morning. We don't want to be at the Methodist church or the temple or the Muslim. Well, actually, you'd be at the Muslim place on Friday. You'd be at the temple on Saturday. We have all decided that this is where we want to be, and this is our community. So we see these 7 beautiful principles of Kwanzaa through the unity, the oneness, the self-determination that, you know, we have decided that something wasn't quite right and we needed to come here. We self-determined that through the inspiration and the impulsion that we got from God. And then we work together in this community, as iFalola so beautifully explained, when we support Gooch, when we support all of the other and do all the other community service projects, when we work together, even this afternoon, undecorating. I mean, we're all working together. And we support each other. We support our bookstore. We support our church, our community with our tithes. So we are doing cooperative economics right here at the center. And we are expressing our purpose each and every moment. And so we know that God created us for high purpose. And I always forget the 6th one. Kaumba, creativity, which of course is what I've been talking about all along. But yes, we use our creativity, and then we are here by faith. And everybody, whatever faith you are, you know, we welcome you from whatever your tradition is, but whatever faith you have, we walk by faith, we live by faith. This is, you know, it comes from the deep calling within our soul. And so we know that we are here for divine purpose, that we have this creative impulse. Ernest Holmes says, evolution is proof of an irresistible urge which pushes everything onward and upward. Create or perish is the eternal mandate of nature. Whatever this thing is, which is seeking expression through everything, it can find satisfactory outlet only through constructive and life-giving creativeness. So all of these holidays that we celebrate this month are life-giving, they're life-supporting, they're life-affirming. And they're just beautiful to behold. And I love that all of them involve light in some way. And the last thing I want to talk about is the pattern is trying to fit the pieces into greater and greater units as though it could not accomplish its purpose through anything other without a democracy of spirit, a union of all. So we are united. We're united in the oneness. But it doesn't make us all the same. I mean, they've proven that our DNA is 99.9967, whatever. We're all the same in terms of if you look at us under the microscope, but we all look different. We all appear different. We all express differently. And this is part of the divine design. This union, however, does not mean sameness, for while unity requires conformity to principles, unity never means uniformity. So this is what's so beautiful about God, is that we are all created in the image and likeness of God. But isn't it great that God has so many different images and likenesses that we are created in? Let's pray. And so I invite you to go within, into the center of our beingness, this magical place, this powerful place, this awesomeness that is God. How good it is to know that we are all one. One power, one presence, one family, in, as, and through God. And that we can celebrate all of who we are as we see the God in each other, as we see the God in ourselves, allowing us to be free to create in whatever way we see fit, in divine purpose for higher good. God created us to express and acknowledge and celebrate and to live in divine purpose. And so I bless all of us here and each individual's divine high purpose. I bless each of these holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas, solstice, Kwanzaa, all of these holidays, divine high purpose. Because we know that they all come together in the oneness, beautifully, harmoniously, peacefully. I know that this is God's intention, for us to be in this mix, this beautiful mix of delight, this beautiful recipe that has all different kinds of ingredients, but allows us to taste and savor so many different cultures, beliefs, faiths, and to know that each one is fully supported by God. For God is in the back and in, as and through all things. And I know as we are inside the mind that we are for everything and against nothing. That we here at the Center for Spiritual Living, as we come together in community, as we come together in love, as we come together in joy, as we come together in peace, I am so very, very grateful that we honor each other, that we honor all of the traditions, that we know who we are and whose we are, and that everyone is God's expression. I am so grateful for all of these holidays, all of these celebrations, for everyone's contribution, and for all of the beautiful creativity, the unity, the self-determination, the collective work and responsibility, the cooperative economics, the purpose, the creativity, and the faith that has brought us all here by divine appointment, that allows us to love and to serve and to just be aware of who we are and whose we are. I know there is absolutely nothing but God, and it is a beautiful and wonderful compilation of good. And in gratefulness, we affirm this together by saying, and so it is.
In honor of Kwanzaa, I will be doing the rest of the service in Swahili. Y'all didn't believe me? All right, now as our readers come forward, this is the time in our service where we have the opportunity to consciously practice the law of circulation. Now, being that today, principle for Kwanzaa is purpose, I think it's important that as we take our gifts in our hands, that we contemplate our purpose for giving. So if you would, please take the gift in your hand, contemplate that purpose, and join me in singing our abundance affirmation. God is my only source. With love and grateful celebration, I give of divine wealth, and so it is. As the offering basket circulates, we will have some West African drumming by Bandan, Koro, and some dancing as well.